good evening, good afternoon, or good morning. Welcome to the DYOR network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the great land of crypto. Tonight we have another good episode of DBT's Crypto Chit-Chat series starring Carmen Crypto. It's the seventh of 16 in this first season of doing so. But before we get to that, past episodes are on our YouTube channel and on our Roku channel. I encourage everyone to go back and watch the previous episodes. We've had a lot of good guests and lots to learn about NFTs, about crypto, and what those new projects are doing now today. Tonight's guest is Garrick Jones of Fancentric. Fancentric is a global NFT community of crypto and sports enthusiasts that their goal is to go out and fix the world of sports ownership. That's right, sports teams ownership through the use of crypto and NFTs. Should be a good talk tonight. Carmen is going to take Garrett up and down the field of crypto and maybe even how we got wrecked along the way. So anyway, enjoy the evening. Let's get going.
Hi, Tom.
Hello, Miss Carmen Crypto. How are you today?
I'm so excited. Like I love every single episode that we have done, but this one is special to me because this just proves you never know who you're going to meet in the crypto space. Like when I first got into crypto, I thought basement, Lunchables, mom's upstairs making sandwiches. That's it. But that's not me. That's not you.
No.
And we're finding some really great people to come in and hang out with us here at DBT to talk about what they're passionate about in their projects. And tonight's no different. I've been having a great time doing these sessions with you, Tom, and the community has really been loving it. Now, we're all gearing up at Disco Burn Token for our comeback season in September, our road to PulseCon, and our bridge to Pulse Chain. And in the meantime, we still want to help you understand the assignment. Like, get some education, do your own research, get out there, find some good projects, but be equipped with some standards on who you find. And tonight was very, exciting for me because I actually found this group and this project and the person that's coming on as our guest in a Twitter space. Like, awesome. I was anti-Twitter when I first started this, but this person really spoke to me, and I've been excited to bring them on the show and get to know them some more.
Well, I have to say that as many people that know me and listen to me on the air, I talk about how many types of NFTs are just a total scam. Buying pictures of someone's cartoon thing that they did while staying up late has initial value with people that FOMO in and follow things in and all that. But ultimately, you're buying a picture that somebody can screen capture. And I said, NFTs are not there yet, and the way that ownership and things are used isn't quite ready yet for these types of things. And I said someday the sports world is going to get into this, and then that will be a real use case things for it. And today you brought that to us, Carmen. and today our guests are heavily involved in the sports world from a personal point of view and professional point of view, but now in a crypto point of view. So that's good. So I'm looking forward to that discussion today on it. And I'm glad to hear that, as usual, you're building up to the new season in DBT. And also with my own project, with the project I'm involved in, the DYOR project, the host of this DYOR Media Network. We're coming up on a soon-to-be release of a new website and some updated information on how our utility is going to be working. And our CEO, Jet Rich, will be coming on the air fairly soon in the next week, 2 or 3, to start the process of rolling that out. And I'm gonna light the fire under his feet a little bit to just have him come on and give a nice little announcement to whet everyone's appetite. So that's what's going on in the DYOR project. The media channel is bringing these wonderful episodes to everybody, and we're so glad to have these guests. And so, Carmen?
Guys, I'm super excited to bring to stage somebody who caught my ear in a Twitter space with his passion and his love and his great standards for how he's onboarding the masses into his project. Guys, welcome to the Chit-Chat Show, Garrick Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, Garrick Jones.
Hello, Garrick.
Welcome.
Hello. How are you guys?
I'm
Doing well.
fantastic.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be in your space.
Now, I see somebody else in the backstage here. Are you rolling deep?
Oh, we always have some backup. Put it to you like that. I wanted to surprise you today. I wanted to surprise both you guys, and I ended up bringing Mr. Charles Stackhouse. He's another NFL aficionado, if you will. I wanted to bring him in. So,
hey, Charles, nice to
Hello
meet
there,
you.
Charles.
And
Welcome to the show.
So, Tom, we don't have just one NFL extraordinaire. We have two.
2 for 1.
We got
It's
double
bullish.
vision here. We got two
We ended
NFL
up- we
players
ended
here.
up
Two NFL
2X in
players.
here.
We 2x'd. Our project just 2x'd.
2x in less than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Well, I got quite a show ahead of us then, because I got to run through the crypto chit-chat questions and find out how these two have gotten wrecked and how they got into crypto. So let's get to it, Tom.
Absolutely.
So, gentlemen, let's talk about what your careers were like before getting into crypto.
Okay. I guess I'll jump on in there. Man, I mean, as far as, what I had gone through before crypto, I kind of liken it the same as being in the crypto space, because there are a lot of unknowns a lot of times. The way I made it to the NFL, it was an unknown. I had to have faith, traveling across the country, chasing scouts, just begging for workouts, those types of things like that. I had to impress upon them, and I had to impose my will, if you will, when it came down to me supposing to be in the league. So it was a lot of unknowns, and I had to really will myself to it, and I manifested. And it's the same thing that we're doing in this crypto space, just, being authentic, trying to make sure that we're including everybody and trying to educate them at the same time. So our deals are just like that. That was my experience with it. I made it to the NFL, after going to Canada to the CFL, which was a great time there. But it's just basically, being a professional without being paid to be so. You know what I'm saying? And that was my experience in it. And I think before, this whole crypto situation came about, it was just a prelude to, what we can do in this thing as far as the disruption and even in the playing fields across the board for all these fans and all these sports figures and everybody else. So
I love it. And how about you, Charles? What teams did you play for, and how did you get into NFL, and how did the two of you know each other?
I'll tell you, I'll start with how me and Garrick know each other. We go all the way back in high school. We was both in the All-Star game in our state of Arkansas, great state of Arkansas.
Wow.
And
Few years ago.
yeah, it was a while ago. It was I'd say, what was that, about 97?
yeah, 97 when it came out.
Yep, 97. And I met Garrick while we was at an All-Star, and always been a sharp, guy. He was always sharp, intelligent, always had the mindset of when, he had that offensive lineman mentality. It was just him at a young age. And we met there to keep going. And then, I went to Ole Miss and Garrick went to Arkansas State. So we met again while we were in college. So that was another, thing. We was like, after the game, powwow, and, like, hey, man, it's good to be here. And then me and Garrick actually met again. I ended up being an undrafted free agent with the New York Giants. They called me the third round, just like the Cowboys called me the third round. A couple other teams called me the third round. Hey, you're going to be our next pick if we go offensive. I heard that like 3-4 times that round. Yeah. And 3 of the 4 teams went defensive, and Dallas picked a fullback other than me. So, I ended up, Giants called me right after, hey, you may as well be drafted because you're coming and you're the only fullback that we're going to bring back, because Greg Camelo had just retired. So they had pretty much like, hey, this is your job to lose. We're going to bring you in. We they worked me out strenuously during the combine. Even afterwards, they was taking me out, working me out strenuously. So I ended up knowing it was going to either be between Dallas, Tampa Bay, or, it was Dallas, Tampa Bay, or the Giants. That was my top three that my agent was coming to me with, and I ended up going to the Giants, and I ended up starting that year as a rookie, and 3 touchdowns, and that's something that a lot of people don't know. That fullbacks in the league usually don't get to see that glory. We're the ones
I was
that
about
go
to say
out.
that. Even I know that. That's why I'm like, yeah.
The glory's
That's an
not there.
upset, a
We go
distraction
out and
right
put
there,
the
right?
tough work. Yeah, we go out, we put the tough work in, and we get it done. And we don't care about the glory. That's the thing. We never really cared about the glory. And I ended up, meeting Garrick again when I left the Giants. I went to Minnesota Vikings, and then I ended up going out to Houston. And when I left, when I went out to Houston, that's when I met Garrick again. He was down there with the Texans. So that was like our third meeting, and it was like fate at that point. Like, me and this guy are going to know each other forever,
Right.
It's just one of those things. Just one of those things. And it was a great thing, to, experience what we've experienced. And even after the NFL, I'll let Garrick get into some of the things he do. But we met up with a developmental league that Garrick was working on, and we worked very tight with that as well. So we've pretty much been in the grit since 18 years old, So
I love that. I don't know what they
and I'm
have in the water
42
in
now.
Arkansas, but you two came out of the same high school. That says something over there.
Well, it wasn't the same high school, but it was the same area,
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
But that's how we met.
So who was in crypto first? Who got
I would
into
say
it?
I was.
Who degened?
Let's talk about that. That's one that's never come up, Garrick.
Okay. Well, I know myself and my business partner Byron Clay, we created the States Developmental Football League back in 2011, 2012. And the premise of the league is to focus on everything that the NFL never focused on. That's the financial literacy, that's the business, that's the branding, that's the, being able to take the athletes and slow it down and put them in a position where they understand, the networks that they have and how to leverage those, how to talk in front of the camera, how to relay mind states, all the things that I had to learn to get to the NFL. And in that, we were marrying free enterprise with football. So we wanted to give them as many different revenue streams and income streams as possible. So, 7 to 8 is your typical millionaire, right?
Exactly.
So we wanted to have these athletes in that position. So that's when we really started talking about the crypto, getting into 2013, 2014 a bit. So that's when we were like, hey, man, we got to figure out how to be able to pay the athletes in crypto or have them with a diversified portfolio. So around 2013, 2014 is when we got serious about it. We were ahead of the game, but that's when we got serious. So I think Charles might have me, but I'm not sure.
That's a fantastic one. How'd it go down for you, Charles?
I'll tell you, man, it's funny. We're in around the same years, bro, 2013,
Okay.
I mean, my uncle, I used to, watch him. He mined Bitcoin a lot. So back like when you could even think about it with Silk Road and those things, he was mining Bitcoin, and he used to always sit us down and talk to us about it. Like, this is going to be money of the future. And we was like, how is that money of the future? You can't even grab it, And but he was like, look, I'm gonna do this. He put us some away, me and his son, which is he put some away, and he was like, don't ever touch this until it hits too much money to even count, And I was like, okay. So he's like, give yourself time to understand what this is, because it's real money. I was like, okay. And so around 2014, I started to see that money growing. It was a little bit that time, but I saw it start taking off. And I was like, oh wow, that this is really money, because I'm seeing the dollar signs. So
Yeah.
At that point, his son had sold his off. He was really mad at him, but I kept mine.
That's smart.
Right.
And from then on, I guess you could say super diamond hand, because I still own crypto that I was brought into crypto with. But and at the same time, it was always a lesson when you was around him. He was always doing something. He was always moving around, like with numbers. He's putting numbers together, like point this, that. And I'm like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? And he's like, son, I'm counting money. And I was like, how is that? I don't see dollar signs. I see points and zeros, But it all made sense in the end, because, I got deep into crypto and I started learning, and made some mistakes, of course, and there's one thing about crypto, guys. It's a good thing, but please take your time, and always expect the unexpected. Do not panic when the unexpected comes, but when the unexpected comes, expect it to go back right.
That's right. It takes time, and that I've talked to so many CEOs that are just as tenured in this space as you guys that have come in around that same time. And even back then and today, there's good players, there's bad players. There are people in this space that are nefarious, malicious, that are out
Right.
to prey on new people that don't have the right behaviors, standards, or a handle on their emotions, because finances, money, growing in your wallet is an emotional experience of happiness, stress, or anything. And that's not quite, if you talk to any investor, whether it's within the digital currency space or even legacy finance, those are not things that they want to perpetuate. They actually try to teach you the opposite, right?
Absolutely.
Have standards, have objective standards, and then, you understand what kind of investor you are first. And don't put in more than you can afford. So, one of those things that I loved, because I listened to both of you speak on a Twitter space, was kind of like the mission behind your project. But before we get into all the good stuff that you guys are doing, I'm going to rip off the Band-Aid, because you guys have been in this space a long time, and everybody who sits in these hot seats has to show people that we have all been scammed. We have all made a bad decision. So let's rip off the Band-Aid, and why don't you describe the first
I'm back
or
for
the
this.
most memorable? No, our local Chumbalone is here. The first scam or the most memorable scam?
Ooh, I'll say the most memorable one, because it's been a couple, right? Once we sit down with individuals and we break down the vision of when we started with the State's Developmental Football League, we essentially took that IP that we did with the league and we've implanted that in Fancentric, and we'll get into that. But once people get this sense of how big the project is and the volume that is going to come with it, automatically, they're thinking either I'm here to help or I'm here to hurt. And it was a couple of instances of some companies that we dealt with early on in the State's Developmental Football League space that did not have our best interest in mind. We ended up having a couple of people put some money in and investing, and it was all this pie in the sky, and it fell within what we were looking to do in reference to ownership and education and all these different things. And they sold it as if that was the deal. But once they got enough people in, and they were already working with other people coming in, they're bringing people into the meeting rooms and the rooms at the hotel meeting spaces, and everybody's excited and clapping. Before long, automatically, the website wasn't up anymore. You couldn't get in contact with people, and all those different things. So it really left us, hanging high and dry, and it left a really bad taste in my mouth, because, like we said before the show even started, with me being a prominent figure in the deal and bringing people to the table, everybody's looking at me like, what's going on, and when that happens, you have to be real with the situation and say, hey, look, we dropped the ball when it came down to it, and it's all about, stepping up to the plate and saying, hey, look, here's how this happened. This is what we're seeing, and these are the actions that we're taking to correct it or rectify it. And with being a commissioner of a developmental football league, being a founder, a CEO, anything that happens, you're a player, right? Everybody knows you. They're going to look at you first, and they're going to look at you only, like, hey, he's the guy. This is the guy we're seeing, and blah, blah, blah. And that's really what happened. And I stood there, with my chin high, and I made people whole as I could. But at the end of the day, it's a part of that dynamic when it comes down to investing, especially the crypto space at that time. Man, it was rough. It was rough, but we made it through it. And I'm here today, back in the space, full throttle. with my chin up, saying, "Hey, we're gonna get this thing together, and we're going to do what we set out to do." So, but it was rough though. It was a hard time. I put it to you like that, but we made it through it.
Yeah, I feel that. You know, everybody in my community knows that I was the face of a token that rug pulled, and waking up that morning and knowing that I was going to be the person answering those DMs for
Right.
months to come, you do have a moral culpability to show
Right.
up and just tell the truth and take
Absolutely.
accountability, right? It's very, very rare in this world that you succeed the first time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Come on.
And
now.
you got to learn and you be better for it. So,
Absolutely.
Charles, how about you? You've
I'm
been
gonna
in
say
this space for quite a while.
right. I'm gonna say first of all, us, we're punching bags because once we they always used to tell us the lights on top of you everywhere you
Right.
go, the lights shining on you. Everybody's got the light on the back of your on your back, because the name on the back of your jersey is what represents you. And
Right.
so, we always get taken advantage of because we're good people. And I'm just going to say that, but hey, we all made it through it. We've had those situations, but in all, I'm gonna go with my first one because my second one, I don't even want to give them the benefit of the doubt to even talk about them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
nobody's ever going to be there anymore because it's gone. So, the first one though that I really experienced was Vein Token. And I was, really interested in that token. I never really brought myself to the forefront, with the team or anything like that, but I did invest in that token. And, because I believed in everything, it was for, plant the seeds, of Oregon, plant trees and all those different things. It was like something that I was with. And, I was there, everything was going good until, I see people coming into the chat. Hey, why can't I sell? Hey, why can't I sell? Hey,
Yep.
why can't I sell? After I saw the fourth one, I was like, oh no, let me go, let me go check. And lo and behold, I couldn't sell. So I'm just sitting there looking at this money like, oh God, like, it's there, but I just can't pull it. Like it was a bad thing, and I'm not even like that part of it. I try to, I love it, but I try to keep it to the back because it was a bad experience with that, a lot of money given away.
Right.
And, but at the same time, it was my expensive lesson that we all must go through. Even though you think you know about the token, get to know the owner. Make sure he's
Yep.
KYC. Make sure you do the
Yeah.
research. Make sure he's doxxed. Make sure he's been available to show his face. Make sure
Right.
he's all of these things before, that taught me that lesson. That was the one token that taught me that lesson going forward. Most
And I'm going
definitely.
to give you guys props for this because I listened to you guys on a Twitter space, went to your page, followed both of you, and then I reached out and you guys were accessible, which is
Absolutely.
like number one standard, right? And it's a behavior that not a lot of people come into this space having. And we've talked about it before. You don't go into a Macy's and say, I want the CEO right now.
Right.
Show him to me. Nah,
Nah, you're not gonna get him.
in this space, it's acceptable. And we have to teach others to do that.
Right.
Because they're, when you're unsure about the technology and that you're learning something brand new and you kind of think, if you think about stocks and legacy finance, it's complicated. In fact, most retail investors don't touch it. They only experience it through their 401ks, Roth IRAs. Maybe they have a broker, but somebody has to have a license along the way.
Right.
Or they're talking to financial advisors to get there, right? It's not just something that we pick up a computer one day and get into a Telegram and now we're traders. Like that's what's happening out there. And so they come in kind of like their tail between their legs and they don't know that they should be walking into a place and saying, who is the owner? Who is the team? Can I talk to them?
Mm-hmm.
Are they on video? Right? So
Right.
for those of us that have been through these expensive lessons, and let me tell you guys, my first rug pull was diamond balls. So I'm going to give you guys a lot of props for at least trying to go into some legitimate sounding ones.
Right.
But mine was DGen plays. I was going a little bit first. I should have known. I was like, oh, these guys really mean it. And they're in the Telegram saying that they're going to hold forever. This is the token I want to put in.
Right, exactly.
That's how it
Telegram, I
is.
said it.
That's how it goes.
But let's go back to the inception of your project. So let's talk about the problem. What problem did you identify that needed this project to solve that?
For me, the way I came into the NFL, I was able to see it from the outside in and from the inside out. And there were so many different things that I saw once I got there. Because the way I came in, I wasn't drafted. I didn't have a senior season of college ball. I'm out of the trunk, right? So even though I may have been better than a lot of the guys that were there, the investment in me wasn't as great. So it was a lot of politics over playing time. So what I had to do was understand what my role was. And that for me was on the job training. So studied. I studied the GMs, I studied the team presidents, I studied, everybody that was in the building that I could. And for me, I saw how they played on the psychological aspects with the fans in reference to them needing an outlet, and that they're going to be here every year annually. And I began to start really doing my due diligence as I was playing. So I knew once I was done, I was going to start my own deal and we were going to even the playing field. Fast forward till, let's just say when the pandemic hit, um, I threw my name in the hat to be a general manager in the NFL, preferably with the Houston Texans, right? Because I have spent time here. I got a Garrick Jones Day in the city of Houston. I got roots here, all the different things, right? So I put my name out there in front of all the fans. I'm like, listen, I want to be this guy, blah, blah, blah. So automatically bullets started coming from everywhere. And and I'm taking them. And at the same time, I'm shooting them right back. And I'm like, here's what we're doing. Because facts don't give a about your opinions. You know what I'm saying? This is what it is. So I began breaking down, what my qualifications were and the things that I've seen and the things that I've been around in my number of years and the different leagues that I've been in. And eventually the fans were like, hey, this is our guy. This is our guy. So as I got closer and closer to the fans, they began opening up and just breaking down how much money they were actually spending on an annual basis. So I started really researching this thing and found out that, you can go 17 or 0 or 0 and 17 as an NFL franchise and still be profitable, right? It doesn't matter. And I really came to the realization that the fans are a lot like us as athletes. Because we're the two most important groups to a professional sports organization, but we're looked at as commodities, interchangeable. I can trade you. I know for the fact that you need an outlet in order to get away from the house. You want your sports or this, and COVID taught us that everybody needed sports. Everybody needed an outlet. So essentially, what I looked at was that whole premise of it, and I said, well, if this is the case, how can we put something together that will even the playing field? So I looked at what we did at the States Developmental Football League, and then I started doing some research. I looked at what was going on in Canada with the actual teams being owned by the fans, right? And there was a few up there that I've actually played on and been around, and I'm like, I love that atmosphere. Then I researched in the NFL, and it's only one, Green Bay. And they did that back in 1923. I said, you know what? There it is. That's the end.
Eureka.
Let's take that, what they did in 23, and bring it into this new millennium. And let's take it to the DeFi space. And let's use this thing for true disruption. Because we hear about disruption, when really it's surface. I wanted to take it to the root and say, look, here's how we can do this. If we come together, you bring in some investors, you bring in other people as minority owners, and we can put teams together where we can actually represent the masses and go in here and purchase these teams and run them the right way with the fans having a voice. And that's ultimately what this whole fan-centric movement is bringing everybody together. It doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, you can be 12 foot tall, purple in the avatar. You're a part of this movement. And this is what the teamwork aspect is about, what Charles and I have learned our entire lives is, hey, let's come together and let's make it happen because we're better together than we are apart.
That's right. Well, you're about to have a 5'3" Micronesian girl.
Here we go. That's all I
Part of
need.
it. Owning some.
We can
some
win with that.
NFL. So let me, Tom had mentioned it at the beginning of the show.
Mhm.
NFTs have really caught the attention of everyone,
Right.
but there's there's a part of it that eludes people that are trying to understand it.
Right.
Because what's out there right now is we understand that the blockchain don't lie. NFTs are a receipt, an authentication of ownership.
Right.
And it's not something that's changeable once it exists. So we love that about NFTs, but we are still searching as a community for people to bring bigger utility versus resale value, right?
Absolutely.
So we appreciate the journey that NFTs have taken so far because we need all those steps to get to the end zone, pun
Right.
intended.
There you go.
But what I love about yours is that we know that the power of DeFi is through building communities,
Yes.
building communities around a common mission, around value that is undeniably going to be theirs and they can prove it on the blockchain. And what you guys are doing is you're creating a DAO system. So you have an NFT collection, 10,000 of them,
Okay.
and there's 4 levels. So you have your rookie, your pro, your all-star, and your legend.
Right.
And on your website, they all give different benefits for it.
Right.
But the overall goal is that as a project, the more that you succeed, the more that you actually have the power to go out, purchase ownership over, professional and semi-professional teams. And I've heard you speak. This isn't just football. This is all sports are on your bullseye. They're on your dartboard, right?
Absolutely.
And as an entire community, we can have fractional ownership and a governance system in which we have a voice in order to decide how should these teams be operated.
Right.
And that was just, boom, fantastic. It's like, and it's led by people who understand this. Now, one of the things that also caught my attention is that you guys also understand that as leaders, we have the burden twofold. You want to deliver a business and a mission and, give value to those who invest in your roadmap.
Right.
But you also want to educate. So you really spoke about some of the issues that we have growing up. Myself, I grew up in poverty.
There you go.
I didn't really have an allowance or
There you
hold
go.
a dollar until I went to college.
There you go.
So what do you think I did? I went bananas, just like
Right.
I did in crypto for the first time.
Right.
And so financial education is not inherent. And
Right.
it depends on your environment growing up and what
Mhm.
access to resources you had.
Mhm.
And so you're seeing that both, on the athlete side as well as an investor side, there's so much teaching we have to do.
Yes.
It's almost
indeed.
overwhelming, don't you guys think?
I'll jump in real quick, Charles, because I'm going to go back to how the formation of the DAO is real quick. In reference to the educational piece of it, you have to have a carrot in order to get the people in the building. Once you get them there, the fact that they're earning, let's just say the passive income situation with Alpha Ape and Alpha Genesis and our partnership through Charles, and we'll talk about that a bit, they're going to be able to have these NFTs. And outside of what we actually will be providing them in reference to utility, they're going to be able to make passive income with them. So once you get them in the building, now you got them piping hot because they're making money. Eventually, they'll get to a point where they're making more than what they're making at their job. So they'll take it seriously. That's one of the things that we wanted to do, give them as many different options as possible. And at the same time, be able to provide this utility for them. From what they were saying, hey, we have to pay for these games. We have to pay for tickets. We pay for season ticket holders, and we still have to pay for the game day tickets. We don't have any discounts at the concession stands, on parking, all these different things. I said, you know what? That's our utility right there. Now, the way it works is the 10,000 NFTs that you spoke about with the 4 different levels, that's for us to complete our DAO. Once we have that set up, all the legalities, we have it buttoned up. We're even looking at bringing in a CEO that has been in the space long enough and understands the dynamic of what we're doing. Because in order for me to grow the business, I have to find somebody to replace me. That's number 1. Number 2, after the DAO is complete, that's when the fun starts, because all the people that invested in the DAO, and that's why we're only doing 10,000. You now have access to all of the percentages and everything that we have going on with the teams that we'll start targeting. So from there, after the DAO is complete, now we're targeting 32 NFL cities. And in those 32 NFL cities, you have baseball teams, you have basketball teams, you have rugby, you have soccer, all the way down to your semi-pro organizations. So that's when we'll start actually having city tokens like Fancentric Houston, you have Fancentric Dallas, Fancentric LA. All of the sports properties there are our targets because in some way, shape, form, or fashion, they're being mismanaged. There's going to be some turmoil, right? So you want to be able to bring those people in, and now they can actually purchase tokens and get to certain NFT levels. The higher they go in token volume, the higher that level is for NFT, and then more perks and benefits they get. Kind of like a sponsorship package. When I come in and I say, hey, I need you to sponsor this event, and you have 6 or 7 different levels, each NFT level will give them more and more perks and benefits. And they'll also be earning their passive income by having the tokens as well as having the NFTs through the partnership with Alpha. But once we get them in the building, now it's time to start educating them on it. We're going to incentivize education where they can actually earn tokens by actually doing modules, just learning. You know, we want to be able to get them in a space to where they're confident and coherent in what's going on, because we want to raise the economic ceiling for each and every one of these members that we have in our community. Because just like you said, Carmen, where I come from, I didn't know anything about, you know, utilizing life insurance and making me the bank. I didn't know anything about infinite banking. I didn't know anything about trust. I didn't know anything about, you know, being able to set up things for generational wealth. And that's essentially what we will be giving them along the way. So eventually they get to a point to where they've changed their whole economic dynamic, and they're not mere fans anymore.
Yeah, the educational system is really missing an opportunity. There's a gap. There's a discrepancy. Till this day, I know what the quadratic equation is, but we didn't know all these other financial things, right?
Right.
So it's really, that's where I feel the most passion and purpose in this space, is that even though I'm not as tenured in this space as you guys are, when I came in, I felt it my responsibility that if I'm 6 months ahead of somebody who is just joining Coinbase, I feel responsible to help. I feel responsible to help them not take the same paths of mistakes that I have experienced.
Right.
And then becoming a leader in this space and getting behind the curtain and understanding how the space operates. I'm looking for other people just like you, because we need powers through the quantities.
There you go.
Because there's so many more people out there that don't know what this space is about. And to your point, they don't think it's real.
Right. Absolutely.
They don't think it's
Not at
real.
all.
Small
And
percentage.
this is something that can change lives. And you don't have to come in aggressively. You can do small amounts. You can dip your toe in. You can take as much time in whatever pace you want. But we don't want anybody to miss a boat here. And especially if they can get onboarded through a trusting team with a good mission, with a good business mindset behind it, with transparency, then, you know, they'll be better off than, you know, doing some other things that they're not too sure about.
Right.
But let's understand the Alpha Genesis. So what is your relationship, your Genesis Alpha? What is the relationship and partnership there like?
Well, I'll tell you, it's it is Alpha Genesis. We call it AGEN for short. But the what we did is when me and Garrick, we was talking one day, you know, and he was talking about, you know, Fancentric and all of the, you know, things that he wants to do with Fancentric. So we really, you know, it was only like, I felt like it was my duty, you know, as a friend, as a, you know, as he's part of the shield like me, you know, to introduce him to, you know, a company, which was Alpha Ape LLC. You know, what that company does, it creates smart contracts, it KYCs, verified KYCs, like you can actually get a KYC from the company and the badge will show up on DXL and all those different ones. They actually have a partnership with DXL. So it's like we saw the vision, and I saw the vision that he was doing with Fancentric. You know, it was almost like listening to him talk about it, feeling his passion about Fancentric and where it was. I already saw the vision of where it could be. So because I knew the devs, the right guys who could create the technology to help, Fancentric, which was through Alpha 8, which is the LLC. Alpha Genesis is just the token. It came after the LLC was formulated. So, what you have there is we have NFTs too. Alpha AGEN is really the NFT company, if you ask me, because it was created from Alpha 8 first. The dev behind it, Tony, he I tell you, they came up with something brilliant where people actually you can earn Bitcoin, you can earn Litecoin, you can earn Ethereum, you can earn XRP, you can earn Cardano, you can earn Polygon, you can earn BNB, you can earn AGEN.
Chips, I love it.
These are all through. Actually, this weekly's pay is phenomenal. I mean, this weekly's pool is real close. If I'm not mistaken, maybe more, 15,000. Real close to that. It's been a lot of motion with those NFTs. So it's paying off for the community. It's paying off for the charts, and that's one of the things that we're like Fancentric. They're going to be one of those NFT companies that's high ranking in NFTs, selling NFTs because it has purpose, it has utility. There's a reason to, and I don't think Garrick kind of touched on this, but the way they're going to be introduced, I think is very special as well. I'll let him get on to that though, but
we love Alpha here, by the way. So
you do.
If you want to drop any secrets, this is the place to do it. I want to
hey, I'll tell you this. Look for some great things to come because I'll give you some secrets. We have this, I guess you could call it a swap, as you could say. It's called Alpha X. And what you're going to be able to do with Alpha X is you're going to be able to instantaneously, it's been in testing and the testing is going so smoothly. It's almost like they do live testing with it. It's going so smoothly. It's almost like scary. Like this is actually about to happen, but you'll be able to purchase crypto with fiat, like your actual bank card, your actual debit card, your actual prepaid card.
Clap that because
your actual,
that's your onboarding.
Yes, onboarding. You're really onboarding crypto, and you're not just going to be onboarding crypto. We're going to be working with some of the best cryptos that's out there, and we're going to be onboarding them onto this platform as well. So their community will be able to purchase with fiat as well. And we're open hands as long as you're legit, long as you're willing to be KYC'd and audited by Alpha 8. Has to come through us because we know the strenuous process. And let me tell you something about these audits and these KYCs. The audits especially, they're charging an arm and leg for these things.
Yes.
Alpha Genesis is here because if you look at it, not just the people that's buying the crypto, they're not the only ones getting scammed. The owners of these tokens are getting scammed. The people that's behind creating the utility for these tokens are getting scammed. So that's where Alpha 8 LLC, which is the LLC for AGEN, that's where they came in and they're correcting that situation. There's a group of devs that really have been through that problem. Right. Tony boy, he's been mining Bitcoin since 2009, and he actually was one of the guys from Finland that spent like over 2,000 Bitcoin for a pizza, and he's been around the blockchain for a long time. His actual business was around the blockchain security and things like that. So he's one of the guys that's really taken this DeFi thing we call DeFi. That's why whenever you see AGEN, you will see the evolution has begun. It's because of Alpha X, the wallet that he's creating. The way they're doing the NFTs where people are actually earning weekly checks, 9 to 5 checks by investing into these NFTs and just holding. And they still have their tokens. Look at the performance of the token on top of the earnings they're getting weekly from the NFTs. So it's like something that's being put together because I'm not going to joke. There's we have a council. There's a council of about 9 of us, and we all get together and we put our thoughts there. And it's very intelligent guys, guys that's been around crypto forever. You look at Mike B, from the New York Storage King from Storage Wars, Mike Briata, the hustler. He's part of the team, and he does a lot with the marketing. And he's got some things that's it's going to be phenomenal. And with the NFTs, there's going to be more there's more. Like every time something sells out, which things are starting to sell out real fast around there. And it's not just like, for instance, we dropped the B&B NFT to where if you it was only $50. It was $50 for the NFT, and you only had to hold $50 of worth of AGEN. And as long as you hold that, you were entitled to a pot of B&B that was being bought. You know, they'll go buy the B&T, put it in the pot, and those people earned. You know, and that's all through the set. And they sold out of those NFTs in like what, 2 days?
That's awesome.
And they were gone.
Congratulations.
So
on that.
Yeah, and they did this all in the bear market, you know, and I think that's one of the things that I looked at, you know, when Charles and I had the opportunity to really sit down and talk. You know, he had watched a couple of launches that, you know, we tried to have with Fancentric, where we were launching tokens, and they didn't go the way we wanted them to go, the way we expected them to go. You know, it was at the height of the bull market, you know, the pie in the sky, everybody was on 10 the entire time. And and it just didn't do what it should have done. There again, when those things happen, the first person they're looking at is me. And I'm right here to this day talking to everybody, letting them know it's about to pivot. It's about understanding, you know, the dynamics of what's going on, you know, whether you're from this space or not. It's a lot of common sense that has to go on with it. And Charles was in our group, and he'd reach out to me every once in a while and like, gee, I know you're running hard, man, but let's talk. And when he kind of got to me and pulled me to the side and said, hey, look, I think you really need to look at what we're doing here. I think we could really add value to what it is that you're doing. I think the conversations that I've had beforehand was, okay, how can we add value to them? And not necessarily them adding value to us, or really making that a focal point, a priority. Because I think when you look at the professional sports players and having access to those guys, that in itself is another pie in the sky situation, right? And everything is heightened. But you know, for me, having that type of connection with Charles early, and him looking at things and us having that relationship over the years, and him just pulling me to the side and saying, hey, look, dude, here, really look at this, you know, really look at what we're doing with Alpha 8 and what we're doing with AGEN. It just made sense because that's exactly what we want for Fancentric, for our people. And to be able to take the blueprint that they've already put out and be able to now come into it and have a partnership where we're adding value to each other, that meant the most to me. And being able to talk, like being able to pick up the phone and call him, because we're in the same time zone, right? There's no breakdowns in communication. We know, okay, here's how we can do this and here's how we can do that. And it's been fully transparent. And that's the reason and rationale behind the play, because it just fit into what ours was anyway. We were always about NFTs. We were always about the levels. We were always about the community. And he was like, here's how we can enhance that. And I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and make this thing happen, because it's been part of our dynamic makeup and our destiny from all the way from high school. It's like, okay, we're supposed to be working together for real, and really doing this thing for.
Yeah, you guys are supposed to grow old together.
Oh, absolutely, man.
It's already known.
Absolutely.
That's
Sorry,
how I feel
guys,
about Tom too.
We're having a storm down here, and that's why I was skeptical about using the Wi-Fi anyways, because
it's all good.
I don't know if you know about this area, but it goes down.
Your Wi-Fi got rug pulled, and you know, as long as you don't lose any money, it's
the light actually blinked. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Oh no. But let me say this, like, congratulations on the success, especially during this market. You're seeing all-time highs. You're seeing success. You're solving some of the fundamental challenges that's going to pivot us across the finish line to mass adoption. Imagine how easy it will be to help people come in and be a part of a community when you don't have to take them through 16 steps, from setting up a KYC on an exchange, getting a native token, going to a swap, because new projects don't live on tier 1 exchanges. And there's a lot of money that it costs to get there. You have to pay them, and you have to provide them the tokens, and you have to provide them the liquidity. And sometimes that buzz and the return on investment, it doesn't take you to the moon. It may create a pump, but those people are not there for the long run. And Garrick, you had said something, when you're a new investor coming into this space and you find a project you love, you should be really looking at projects that you invest in as a 36-month investment.
Absolutely. From Jump
This
Street.
is get in, stay tuned, stay invested, because sometimes migrations are necessary, staking pools in. You got to be a part of an active part of it, but myself too. I have wallets that I just don't look at. I believe in the project. I
Mhm.
know the owners, and if it works, it works, and I wish them the best, right? And I need to go
Right.
do my job.
Right.
And there's people in here that day trade, and there's room for that too. That causes a lot of tokenomics to work in our favor when we're diamond hand holders, right?
Right.
But I want to congratulate you guys, and especially Charles. A fiat on
Yeah.
ramp. Just
Yes,
remember, you met
it's
me,
coming.
that you met
It's coming.
Tom,
Yeah.
because we're these guys know. My community knows. After every meeting, I
I
go, "Who's
got
going to install the
chills.
fiat
I
on
got
ramp?"
chills just then. I got chill bumps.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's something that's coming. It's
Hmm.
amazing because I've seen it work live. I've seen the dev like, hey, here we go. I'm about to use a prepaid debit card to make a purchase. He made the
Prepaid.
purchase. It instantly popped up on the chart, and everything instantly went through. And we was like, I had to look again. Was like, did it actually just pop up that fast?
Right.
And for him, he's a perfectionist. He's like, it came up fast, but I want it to be faster. So he's tweaking everything
Their
live.
standards are too high.
Yes,
And
Yeah.
I
yes.
love devs like that. Like when you guys, if you're a project leader out there, if you find an honest, transparent, hardworking dev that is actually innovative, doesn't do the copy and paste and hard forking of things,
Right.
take good care of them. Show them,
Right.
Absolutely.
show them the potential
Yes,
and get
don't
them
let him
into
get
teams.
away.
I
Man.
tell
Shout
him
out
every
to
morning,
our
I love
dev,
you,
Rebel
man.
Matt.
I love you.
Rebel Matt, True
Yeah,
DeFi.
our
Yes,
developer for both DYOR and DBT is Rebel Matt, and he just launched True DeFi, which is a swap that
Okay.
awesome.
can be integrated into existing projects or brand new projects. It doesn't do what you do, but what it does is it creates a bot free launch. But
Hmm.
you
Okay.
know the swap liquefy function that's in contracts that causes that
Yes,
red candle,
yes,
and people come in, who
yes,
sold? Who sold? And you got to
Yeah.
start taking
yes,
them stuff and
yes,
taking a laser
yes.
to like charts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've solved that. So now if you're an EVM, network
Nice.
based project, it will take the taxes out when the person buys in the native token,
Mm.
and the rest goes to the chart. So now you have a healthier, more accurate chart. But that
Wow.
gives me chills because, these are things that we nerd out on as
Hmm.
leaders. But we
Absolutely.
Yes.
Let's
know
bring them
the
together.
impact.
Let's bring them
Yeah.
together.
Let us take care of the details of how to make it happen,
Right.
as long as we're showing people the path to be, financially free, in control of their finances, not your keys, not your crypto. Get off the exchanges and get with good teams
Right.
that show up
Hmm.
and will be there no matter what.
And
So
And
Alpha X is on the
kudos to you
way.
guys.
It's on
yeah.
the
That's
way.
Yeah.
right.
It's on the
And,
way, and
and,
I
and,
can't
I,
wait.
and I'll jump in real quick. Just to that point and what Charles was saying, let's all work together. My whole thought process with Fancentric and the size of it and the scale of this deal, with us wanting to be a global phenomenon, we want to be the connective tissue between us and all of our strategic partners. Everybody's on different blockchains, but we all still can work together and grow each other's communities at the same time. That's always been my thought process. And when I sat down and talked with Charles and Tony and the rest of those guys there, Mike B and everybody, they were like, "Hey, look, here's what we can do. You're gonna have access to all these different blockchains through what we're doing and how we do it." Man, it made me feel really good because number one, that's a part of the DNA of Fancentric, is to be able to touch all these different chains. But it just fast tracked what we were doing. And then the second part of that was actually watching in the group how it's growing and how it's able to grow in this bear market. When everybody's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm watching them daily and seeing how they're doing what they're doing, seeing the work that these guys are putting in. and them having the answers. I mean, and if they don't have the answers, hell, they're gonna put the work in order to make sure that it is rectified or whatever the situation may be. But there again, it goes back to everybody being on the same page, and I'm looking forward to being able to take what we're building with Fancentric, along with all the other strategic partners, and being able to just patch in, and us all coming together to form this global superpower, if you will. And that's the true disruption in this situation. I don't do anything small. I never have. You know, it's about making history. Less than 1% of all athletes make it to the NFL. Charles and I did it from the trunks of our car. We were not drafted. We went the long way.
Right.
You know, I might have
classic trunk slammer.
Yeah, no. And that's the thing. That is the mentality of what we're doing. You know, that is the aspect of what we're doing. And for me to have somebody that comes in as a CEO, when we're ready, they have to have all of the traits that I have and then some, you know, because we're in a position to change the world. And if you're going to change the world, you got to come into this thing ready to rock and roll. And you got to outwork me. You got to outwork Charles. And that's hard to do because we got the mentality of those ball players when these companies send their employees out to learn how to be competitive. We were born with it. And you'll never outwork me. It's just that's in my DNA. So that's really what this thing is about, connecting everybody, and let's do this thing for real and have fun. And this is what it's about.
That's right.
Man, you got me ready to go play a game.
Oh yeah, no, I have you
up,
ready to a brick wall.
Take it out on the golf course.
I might go into the fud room and fight people just for fun now. I mean,
there you go. You see, you got your energy, right? So you already know, okay, I know where I need to go with it. But this is what this thing is about. It's about us coming together and leveraging each other, you know, and what you bring to the table, what I bring to the table, and let's form this thing and do it the right way. That's it.
Right, and let's go back to the blockchains, and I just wanted to expand on it a little bit. By the way, our ETH bridge should be done by the end of August, so that's how you see the charts getting prepared for the big players. So it should be done by the end of August, and after that, we have 5 more blockchains. We're gonna hit Polygon, we're gonna hit Solana, we're gonna hit Crow. You know, we're already on BNB, and we're gonna have ETH. And, you know, and it's just gonna, you know, we're gonna start there. Let's put it like that. We're gonna start there. And the beauty of it is they have it, you know, to where it's all gonna be AGEN's LP. You know, you're not gonna have it to where people are swapping out to do this, swapping. It's gonna be all from AGEN's LP, and that, you know, that really pretty much gets rid of arbitrage. I don't know if you know what that is when you're dealing with that stuff.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're little Chumbleon degens over here. So we understand all of this. And I'm going to add another network for you, Pulse Chain. So I'll tell you guys what's up with that. We'll talk about it.
I tell you what, man, these guys are, I tell you, I don't want to spill the beans, but they're hooking up with a lot of different companies. You know, they're coming on, you know, a lot of different companies are coming together. One of them being like Lakeview Meta. That's a metaverse. You could actually go into a metaverse, and you could, as long as you put in the code AGEN, you'll get scanned. They'll give you your first scanner. They'll give you your first car. I think it's like an Audi or something. But you can now get AGEN Lamborghini in that metaverse now.
Yeah.
But you go out and you scan, you know, you get out. It's a huge world. You can't walk it. It's a huge metaverse. It's a huge open world. And I've seen some people come in, hey, I just found 5 billion AGEN tokens in Lakeview Metaverse. And they're out there. And those are the things like we're doing when we say we come into partnerships with different companies like Fancentric. It was a no-brainer with them, you know. Garrick's my guy. Anything he know, anything I would do, I can do it to help him, you know, any kind of way. And we just, you know, got another deal going here. We just finished a meeting today. You know, that's I don't know. I don't
spilling
know
all the secrets, guys.
No, these are things. You know, these are things that this is for. You know, this is a platform for, you know, everybody to know about Fancentric, everybody to know about, you know, Alpha Genesis, Alpha Ape, because we're all partners. You know, we're all partners in this thing, and that's why I even brought up Lakeview Meta. You know, the metaverse. Yeah, you know, it's like something that's it's huge. It's huge, and it's crazy what they're doing. Like you can, and not just Alpha Genesis token. You can find other tokens in there as well by scanning the ground, driving your car around, going into the buildings, doing different things like you would in a metaverse. And it's actually, they're working on so many different things, but that all comes back.
I'm so excited to live in the metaverse one day, Charles. I'm just going to tell you.
In there.
I'm going to Rick Ross purple Lamborghini up in your metaverse.
Carmen, I'll tell you this. Kind of to go back to what Charles was saying, about our conversation earlier today, and to go back to what you had said earlier about 401ks and how people are, they'll put the money in, and that's about the extent of it. We have something that we're going to bring to the table for our Fancentric community and our Alpha Genesis community and everybody that we're dealing with that'll be along those lines in the crypto space.
You're printing money, man.
Payroll. I mean, direct deposit, whatever we're going to put this thing together where it's going to be true utility and it's going to be undeniable. So we are eliminating all excuses. There will not be any. Right. And it's going to be full transparent. This is what we're doing. We're going to impose our will. So everything
you guys are listening to this at home. Like, stop investing in will slapping you and look for real projects like what we got going on.
Absolutely. It's time to change the game,
subscribe to this channel because we're bringing real leaders, real projects, people that are trying to change the space. And you guys need to know this first. And these communities are just starting. And they're not, I remember speaking to your COO. You guys have been working on this for years. So it's not an idea that just came up, yesterday and you're cash grabbing it. These developers in our space that want to do it right, that want to take on these big challenges, these are going to be the foundation. And then layer that on top of professionals in this space who understand the industry and bringing value to you. All you got to do is come in, get to know them, ask your questions, do your own research. So guys, let's talk about how do my viewers and our community find you guys. So let's talk about your website and your Twitter.
Website, www.fancentric.co. They can go there and just get, the basic premise of our DAO. But you would want to go there and you want to sign up and subscribe for our newsletter called The Majority Owner. And the reason I wanted to call it The Majority Owner is I want the fans to have that mindset and that mentality of the majority owner, not just showing up to watch the game and that's it, but actually looking at the processes that are going on around the game. In that newsletter, they're going to get information on, when we're dropping NFTs, our AMA schedules, our watch parties during the preseason. They're going to get information that's going to have them start really looking at the game differently from an ownership standpoint. So you're going to learn about the numbers, how many billions this team sold for, how many different organizations are a part of it, all those different things. And that's being developed right now, but you want to go ahead and get that information in so we can get all of your information captured. So that way we can have you on our list and you guys will be able to get as much information as possible that we can get out as quickly as possible. In reference to social media, we're on Twitter, IG, Fancentric now. You can just hashtag Fancentric. You can hashtag and search the majority owner, and even hashtag search the GJ for GM. That was the initial movement that we started with, and now it just morphed into the majority owner, and it's bringing everybody together. So, and you can find me on any of them, Twitter, LinkedIn. You can find me anywhere. Just tap in with me. I'll be available, and I'll reach back out to you as quickly as I can, because these inboxes are inundated on a daily basis.
You're good. Yeah. I didn't have to ladder climb very hard to get your attention, and
not at all.
Got a call with your COO. You guys are responsive, and that's a good standard to have. How about you, Charles? How can we get a hold of the Alpha Genesis team?
I put in if you look earlier in the messages, I know I put the Telegram in there. I made it real easy for you guys, because if you do have Telegram, you step in there, everything's there, from the Get book to everything. All the information is there. And you can find them on Twitter at ALPH, ALPH Genesis. You can find them there. And you can go to the website at alphagenesis.io. That's ALPHA Genesis.io. and you can find us there. And actually, you can actually buy the token straight from the website. You don't have to go to different places to buy it. So that's a part of like what they're doing, making things accessible. That's what our dev wants to do. He wants everybody to be able to use crypto without having to go through all the steps. You know, some people, they give up, you know, that's like, that's just too much, you know, and you're going to tell me how to buy it and I'm not going to know how to sell it. So I'm not even going to deal with it.
Yep.
You know, that's Alpha X is changing the game. I'm telling you, Alpha X is changing the game. They're even looking at ways to where, you know, Tony told me this the other day, he's like, you know, we're actually looking at ways to where people will be able to use fiat to buy NFTs that they want. And he's like, thank you, Tony. You know, so, but it's, you know, it's working. You know,
well, we are the when community, right? When, and everything.
Right.
I want it now. We're just like,
but it's technology.
You can't make us happy.
Yeah,
but we're patient. So. And we learned so much today about two fabulous projects. Thank you for surprising us, Charles. I'm so glad you came on. And Garrick, thank you so much for being you and for doing what you're doing. And it was such a pleasure to bring you guys on to the show. We're definitely going to be watching, and you're always welcome into the DBT community. And we love your audience already.
Absolutely. No, you guys are already strategic partners. Plus, you guys on the website, you're hyperlink, and you can hang it up.
Yeah, we like to burn things.
You stuck with
Disco burn. Yeah. And then DYOR tokens.
Thank you all.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Thank you all. And thank you all, Tom. Thank you, Carmen. And G, you already know what it is, big dog, you know. But hey, just like Mr. Striking says there, do your own research with these projects. Here at Alpha Genesis Fancentric, we want you to come research us. Please, we're begging. You go to the telegrams, there's so much information to research. Please come research us. Research what's going on, because don't be lazy. It's your money. When you're lazy on your money gonna be lazy to you. I'm telling you, it's just facts.
And it's gonna go by today.
So
your money's gonna go find somebody that wants to activate it. It's not gonna sit around and be lazy. It's gonna go.
Being lazy.
Money doesn't want to sit around. It wants to earn. It's not gonna earn with you. It's gonna go somewhere else.
That's right. Thank you, guys. Thank you,
everyone. I want to say thank you, everyone, for joining the DYOR Media Network tonight for this show, the 7th in the series of 16 in season 1 of DBT Crypto Chit-Chat Challenge. Carmen, thank you so much for putting together a great show once again and bringing these great guests. Garrick Jones, thank you very much. Charles Stackhouse, and I got to say, we learned some good things tonight. First, we learned that getting to the combine out of the trunk of your car is difficult. It's difficult not being the... And as sometimes it's called just being a trunk slammer. Where's Garrick? Shunk. There he is. And I don't think it was a heavy lid of a trunk lid of a Bentley. It was probably a little less expensive car back in those days.
Saber, man.
Yeah, there you go, with 150,000 miles on it.
Yes, sir.
We're learning that Fancentric is targeting 32 cities to change how the ownership of sports teams, not just football, every type of sports teams possible. If everyone can remember Garrick's comments, and people in the NFL know that the Green Bay Packers are owned by their community and people have their little share on the wall, someday you will have your NFT in your wallet saying you are an owner of the Jets.
Absolutely.
Or the Cowboys. Wow. Think of that. Think of the people in Texas being like, "Oh my God!"
Right.
It's coming, man. It's coming.
Right. And we also learned some good things about how our guests learned their way through crypto the way the rest of us did. They got scammed. They trusted people they shouldn't have, and they gave money. My example is that you walk into the bank and give your money to the people at the bank, and they have a ski mask on, and the manager's door just leads to a hole in the ground. And that was crypto in the beginning, and people still do that. And would you go into the bank and give your money to the people with the ski mask? No, you wouldn't. And so now, shows like ours, we bring people out to talk about their projects, get the community to know them, and understand that they're a real project, and there are real people behind it. One of the things we spoke about was Charles and his project, talking about KYC and audits, and bringing the fiat on-ramp to the projects, and how important all of those are to make sure we have the honest people behind a project, and also make it easier for people to invest in crypto, and being able to use a prepaid credit card or just your own debit card after you got paid on Friday to buy a little bit of crypto every week. You know that's going to pay off in the long run, because it paid off for Charles holding long term. for that early crypto that was mined. And lastly, probably the most important thing we learned tonight is that Carmen still remembers the quadratic equation. She didn't learn about crypto and that type of math in school, but she can remember x plus 1 times x minus y or whatever.
Integers and everything else.
Right. And all
we also learned that Tom doesn't know the quadratic equation.
I can pull it out. I can pull it out if necessary, but on the air, I'm going to go.
You have to be brilliant.
But hey, you know one thing. He takes great notes while working all the cameras.
I do. I do all that so I can sum it up, and the YouTube algorithm picks up my voice, and people can search those phrases that I say. But with that, I want to once again thank everybody for joining in tonight. This show will live on in infamy on many networks, and so share it amongst all of your friends. So everybody, have a good evening or a good morning wherever you are.